Whenever we discuss countries in the Sahel region that have undergone coups and are causing changes, we always mention Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, but we rarely talk about Guinea, and we hardly hear of any positive changes. It's almost like we overlook the fact that Guinea, just like these other Sahel nations, is currently under a military ruler, President Mamadou Dombouya, who, like Captain Troere and Asimi Goita, came to power through a coup in 2021. So, why is it that despite his rise to power through a coup, President Mamadi's leadership doesn't seem to be creating as much impact or posing a threat to the West compared to the military regimes in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso? What sets Colonel Mamadi apart from Captain Troere? And why isn't Guinea part of the new Sahel alliance? Let's delve into this in the upcoming video. Since Colonel Mamadi assumed power in 2021, he has only been in the limelight on 3 occasions. First, when he assumed leadership from Alpha Condé in September 2021. Second, when he expressed solidarity with Mali and Burkina Faso during the initial coup in Niger and delivered a significant speech at the 78th United Nations General Assembly. The most recent instance was when he dissolved the Guinean government. Apart from these instances, Guinea and its interim president have remained relatively calm compared to the upheavals in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso since military governments took over. While these countries have expelled French forces, Guinea, under Colonel Mamadi's leadership, hasn't taken such actions. In 2022, France quietly resumed military cooperation with Guinea, as Colonel Mamadi sought French military assistance in securing the northeast border with Mali. While there's been talk of anti-French feelings brewing in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the situation in Guinea appears notably different. Since seizing power, the military regimes in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have been openly critical of French involvement and policies in their nations. They've taken bold steps like shutting down the French embassy, expelling the French ambassador, and highlighting what they see as French imperialism, even going as far as replacing French as the official language. Colonel Mamadi's approach, however, seems more subdued in comparison. So, why does Colonel Mamadi's leadership diverge from that of Ibrahim Traore, Asimi Goita, and General Tchiani? To understand this, we need to delve into Mamadi's background. You see, Mamadi was once a member of the French Legion, a distinctive branch of the French army that recruits foreigners willing to serve. After a stint of 3 years, members are granted French citizenship, or immediately if they're injured in combat for France, under a provision called French by Spilled Blood. Mamadi trained at France's École de Guerre military academy and served in the French Legion for 5 years. It's reasonable to assume that loyalty to France is a fundamental expectation for every legionnaire, even after they retire. This background sheds light on why Mamadi's approach towards France might differ from his counterparts in neighboring countries. So, what does all this mean for Colonel Mamadi's actions regarding France? Well, it seems there are certain limitations on what he can do. While Ibrahim Traore is busy making diplomatic moves like closing the French embassy and cozying up to Russia, Mamadi's hands are somewhat tied. One significant factor is Mamadi's deep ties to the French system. Firstly, Mamadi was a part of the French Legion, which suggests a strong allegiance to France. This background may restrict him from taking actions against France, unlike Traore. Secondly, Mamadi's personal connections further bind him to France. His wife, Ibrahim Dombouya, isn't just any French citizen, she's an active member of the French National Gendarmerie, a law enforcement force with military duties. It's unlikely she'd support actions against France, given her position. These connections lead some to speculate about France's involvement in Mamadi's rise to power. Given the strained relationship between France and Guinea under former President Alpha Condé, who was critical of France, some believe Mamadi may have been a convenient replacement. However, this remains speculative. Adding to the complexity, Mamadi is among 25 Guinean officials facing EU sanctions for alleged human rights abuses during Condé's tenure. This suggests that Mamadi's path to power wasn't devoid of controversy even before he assumed leadership. In the intricate web of international politics, Colonel Mamadi finds himself tightly bound, with France seemingly holding the leash. As a member of the European Union, France's influence extends beyond its borders, leaving Mamadi vulnerable to accusations and potential sanctions if he dares to oppose French interests. Effectively, Mamadi's hands are tied, his every move scrutinized under the watchful eyes of those in power. This explains his relatively subdued stance compared to figures like Captain Troere, who are making waves on the global stage. Mamadi's only recourse seems to be his voice. During last year's United Nations Assembly in New York, Mamadi used his speech to shed light on the pressures he faces since assuming power in Guinea. He acknowledged the underlying issues driving coups in West Africa, including the need to address entrenched regimes like that of Alpha Condé. Mamadi revealed the discomfort he feels with European nations, particularly France, preaching democracy while exerting pressure on him to prioritize their interests over Guinea's. This realization has led him to empathize with African leaders who struggle against external pressures. Despite Mamadi's desire for revolutionary change akin to Captain Troere, he finds himself constrained by external forces. However, with the recent government dissolution, there's speculation that Mamadi may be contemplating a shift in his stance towards France. Additionally, recent revelations suggest tension between Mamadi and Ibrahim Traore, possibly indicating underlying conflicts that have strained their relationship. What could be the source of tension between Colonel Mamadi and Traore? Well, let's rewind to September 30th, 2022, when Paul-Henri Dombouya was ousted by Captain Troere and his cohorts, citing dissatisfaction with Dombouya's leadership since assuming power in 2021. Now, here's an interesting twist. Dombouya, like Mamadi, attended and graduated from the École de Guerre French Military Academy. Not only that, they were contemporaries at the academy, making it highly likely they crossed paths and formed a bond. Both Mamadi and Dombouya ascended to power in their respective countries in 2021. However, their friendship seemingly hit a roadblock when Dombouya was ousted by Traore in a coup and sent into exile in Togo. Given Mamadi's presumed loyalty to his friend, it's plausible he distanced himself from someone who ousted and exiled Dombouya. Since taking office, Mamadi's interactions have been notably selective. He visited Mali to meet with Asimi Goita, with whom he had previous ties dating back to a U.S. Army training session in Burkina Faso in 2018. Despite this connection, Mamadi hasn't actively pursued closer ties with Burkina Faso or sought to join the alliance formed by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. It's conceivable that Mamadi's reluctance to deepen ties with Traore's Burkina Faso stems from his friendship with Dombouya, coupled with pressure from France, which perceives Traore as a threat. What's your take on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more updates.